Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I am the owner behind Faff Designs and I'm a brand ambassador for Dixie Belle Paint. Welcome if you're new here and welcome back if you're not. I have a really easy tutorial for you today. This piece behind has had a wash of black paint and then it's been sealed with hemp oil. Super easy but really effective. So stay tuned to find out how I did it. So before the video I cleaned the piece really well with Dixie Belle's White Lightning and then gave it a scuff sand, as you can tell. Then I got Dixie Belle's Caviar and mixed it with some water, which creates a watered down version of the colour, and mixed it all together to create an even consistency. You can see how much water I've added there. If you use more water you'll get a more transparent finish. If you use less water you'll get better coverage. It depends on the finish that you want. And I'm just mixing it all together to basically create a paint wash. Right, so that mix is mixed up really well. Then I used the Dixie Belle mini synthetic brush to apply the mix all over the sideboard. So I've sped it up because it really is as simple as painting a coat of the wash over the piece. Don't worry if you are using Caviar and it looks slightly blue, it does dry black, and also when we top coat it with the hemp oil it will intensify that black colour as well. You'll notice that the top has had slightly more sanding than the front of the piece, and that's because there was some really deep scratches on the top, so I had to sand those out. All this means is that the paint wash will really soak into the wood where I've sanded it back, so I anticipate that the top is going to be darker than some of the other parts, which is okay because I do want a varying tone. And all it means is that if you do have to sand an area back, that will absorb the paint wash more than other areas. Right, so this is me applying the second coat of Caviar with water added to it to make a wash. Excuse the dog. The first coat was left to completely dry for a couple of hours because obviously it's got a lot of water added to it. This can alter the drying times to what is usually expected from chalk mineral paint. And all I'm doing is the exact same thing but just with a second coat of paint. And all this is going to do is intensify the colour and deepen it to give the effect that I was looking to create. So what I did do in certain areas is grab some shop cloth and just wipe off some of the excess in little areas around the trim and around the edges of the drawers, and what this does is pull the paint back to expose that warm toned wood underneath, which is going to give a little bit of definition around the drawers and just create a really interesting effect with the paint. So you'll notice I'm working in small areas to apply the paint and then pull little bits off. This is just so that the paint doesn't dry too quickly before I've had a chance to remove it in the areas that I wanted to. So I'm just highlighting around the drawer edges, the little carved detail in the centre at the bottom, and just the areas that I wanted to pick out a little bit of wood grain to create interest. I'm just going to flick back to the top to show you the difference of how much this piece was sanded, obviously a lot more on the top because of the scratches, and it's really soaked up that colour wash. So for the second coat I've added a little bit more Caviar to my wash to give it a more solid colour, because I don't want the top to be uneven or patchy. I'd rather it be a solid black colour. Again, I'm just using a shop cloth to rub away some of the colour wash around the edges and give it that same look as the rest of it. Okay, so ta-da! Now it's time for hemp oil. The piece has been left to dry overnight because I want to make sure that it is completely dry before adding the top coat. Howdy Do Hemp Oil is something that you can use to seal chalk mineral paint. It dries hard and it cures fully after 30 days to create a water repellent top coat, and it's really durable. I'm using a premium chip brush to apply the hemp oil. You just paint it on over your paint finish, and in a second you'll see me wipe off the excess. It's worth noting that hemp oil can amber over pale colours, so it's perfect over darker colours and raw wood, but over paler colours it can amber slightly. Howdy Do Hemp Oil is so versatile. You can apply it with a brush, a rag, a sponge, and it gives a beautiful streak-free matte finish to your furniture. You can also apply it over raw wood, and it's food grade safe, so you can use it on things like chopping boards. If you struggle with dark colours and top coats, then hemp oil might be the one for you because it is really simple. Next stage is to remove the excess hemp oil from the surface. So the oil will only be absorbed into the chalk paint or the surface that you're adding it on as much as that surface can possibly hold, and after that it will just sit on the surface. So you need to remove the excess, otherwise it'll take a long time to dry and it could be sort of sticky and tacky for a long time. I'm using a clean, dry microfibre cloth to remove the excess oil, but you can use a lint-free rag or shop cloth, and I'm just giving it a really good rub over. You may need to do this step a couple of times, so if you come back to your piece in a couple of hours and you find that it looks patchy, that is because the paint has absorbed as much oil as it physically can and the excess is just sitting on top. So if that happens, just give it another rub with a cloth and it should be even. Last couple of jobs, I added the original handles back on because they suited the piece and they were in really good condition. You can see the piece behind is much more even. I did have to come back and rebuff it. There was a couple of areas on the top where there was excess oil, so I removed that and the whole thing looks a lot more even. And here is the finished piece, a couple of close-ups and the final shot. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and make sure you subscribe to my channel.